All right, we're live. So we got about 17 seconds is what it says, but
Okay.
there we go. Oh no, we're good. We're live right now.
Awesome.
So hello everybody. Welcome to the Ladies Lounge with Wonderlow. Well, let me change the name of it. I said the Ladies Lounge After Dark with Wonderlow.
Uh,
So thank you all for tuning in this evening. I hope that you've had a wonderful day so far. So far I have. I've actually been more productive today. I actually turned off the TV. I did not have the TV on all day long, so I didn't watch anything other than my computer screen, my phone, my date book, and I got some stuff done. This working from home stuff, I don't know about any of you all if you're doing it. It can be a wonderful blessing, and it really is, but it also can be very stressful for you because you're sitting at home. Some people like me, if you're at home during the daytime by yourself, you get a little bit lonely. It's a little bit quiet, so the TV was actually a distraction. But last night I had this big epiphany, of course, at 3:50 in the morning, like I normally do, and I thought today, let me do something a little bit differently. Why don't I turn off the TV so I can kind of get focused and I can kind of get some things done and it actually works. So the TV probably won't be on during the daytime for the next couple of days because I got quite a few things that I want to get done. And you all know that I'm working on a podcast and some other stuff. So just a tip for us that are working from home. As a matter of fact, I got a couple of little tips for people that are working from home. And the first one would be if you don't have an actual official home office and you're using the living room or the kitchen counter or wherever your space is, if there's a TV, turn it off. I don't know about y'all. I like to have background music, background noise. The majority of the time, what I do is I'll have the TV on, but I'll get distracted and start watching it. So today, what I did is I just turned my radio on because I have to have a little bit of noise in the background to kind of keep me focused. So the first thing I would say, if you have the TV on and it distracts you, turn the TV off. Second thing, turn on some background noise. If you're like me, turn your radio on. Third thing, actually get up and get fully dressed. Now, I know that sounds weird, but if you get dressed, it feels like you're going to work and then you'll be able to take things a little bit more seriously. Because if you're sitting around in your sweats all day, or your gown, or pajama bottoms, or pajama top, it still makes you think you're lounging around and you won't get as much stuff done as if you would if you just change into your regular clothes. The other thing, and this is part of my, I call it my night owl syndrome, that I posted about three something this morning was make you a list of things that you want to do the next day. I tend to focus better after midnight. I don't know why. I just always have been that way. So one of the things I do to make sure the next day that I get things done is I go ahead and make a list of all the stuff that I need to get done the next day. So while my mind is still sharp, I'm really focused, and I know that I need to get these things. I go ahead and jot them down, and I assign some times to them. Because if you don't assign times to them, you're still gonna just be all over the place. So make sure that you make your list, assign some times, and then stick to those times. The last thing is, um, yeah, I'm one of those people that I have to have a date book. Now I know everybody uses something electronic to keep up with dates and schedule and stuff. Do the hardest things that you don't like to do first.
right.
I don't know why. It just makes your day go faster, makes life go easier. But if you're working from home, if you go ahead and do all those things that you hate to do first, then by the time you get finished with those, you feel like you've accomplished some things and it makes you get a little bit more relieved. So that way you can just kind of finish your day out a little bit smoother. So just kind of pay attention to those things if you can. And hopefully those things will help you work a little bit better from home. Like I said, tonight before I go to bed, I'll do it again. I'll make a list of what I want to accomplish tomorrow and then kind of work through that list. So make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Make sure everybody's staying safe, and that you're washing your hands. If you have to go out, make sure you're wearing your mask and keep your 6 feet. I don't want your germs, and I don't think anybody else wants them either. So make sure that you do that. So that's enough of me rambling on. I want to get into this show because tonight's guest is a financial. I've named her my financial shero, whether she knows that or not. And she is also now my new mentor because during right before we came on, we were having a really good conversation and she was giving me some good information. So I'm taking notes. So I'm suggest that y'all get your pen and paper out and take notes also. So I want to introduce to you tonight, Miss Tanielle Price. I almost said it wrong. Tanielle Price. Tanielle is a dental hygienist turned financial coach. After paying off more than $72,000 in 18 months, she realized that there was a lack of financial guidance for not just women, but African American women. Tanielle started Fresh Start Financial Coaching in March 2020, and she now coaches women on how to manage their finances, pay off debt, and create passive income through online businesses and real estate. Tanielle is also a real estate investor in the Central Arkansas area, specializing in buying and reselling homes to improve communities and provide affordable housing in low mid income neighborhoods. Welcome to the Ladies Lounge, Miss Price, Miss Tanielle. I keep wanting to call you Tanielle now.
Oh yeah, we had a whole discussion. I told you all the mispronunciations, so they're gonna be stuck in your head.
I'll make sure I get it right. It's Tanielle.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in tonight. Judy spoke so highly of you. I called her, kind of had a last minute cancellation. I'm like, okay, I need somebody and I want to talk about women in finances. I have no clue. And I was like, I know Judy will know somebody. She knows everybody. And I sent her a message and she said, this is the person you need to talk to. She knows her stuff. She's wonderful. You'll love her. She does. She told me about your paying off the debt. She gave you a glowing review. I'll put it like that.
Awesome.
So I was so grateful that when I called you, you didn't hesitate. You were like, yeah, I'll do it. So Thank you so much. I appreciate you and welcome to the Ladies Lounge.
Thank you.
All right. And take it away.
All right. Well, let me just tell you guys a little bit about myself. I look about 18, but I'm not. I'm actually in my 30s. So that's the first thing to get out of the way. People generally are like, how old is this girl? Like I went to an appointment today and that's the first thing the guy said. He's like, when did you get, I was the dentist. When did you get this crown? And I was like, oh, when I was like 22. He's like, so a couple years ago. And I was like, no, like 10 years ago. So it's a blessing and a curse, but I am married and I have 2 little ones and an older bonus daughter. I live with my husband. We're in North Little Rock. I've been here almost all my life. I did some time living in Kansas and different areas like that. And basically my story of how I came to be interested in finances is that, I went to school first to be a dental hygienist. After that, I started into getting my master's of science in health sciences. So that's what the MS stands for. And while I was doing that, I kind of had a little bit of a quarter life crisis, if you will. So I left my first job after about a year and I actually moved to Quito, Ecuador. And my mom laughs and I say quarter life because I was about, I don't know, probably a quarter way through my life, 22, 23 years old, Lord willing. And so I went down there and I just went down there to kind of purify my mind and like figure out what I wanted to do. And I came back really refreshed and I learned Spanish while I was there. So it wasn't for naught. It was a very, very good experience. And when I came back, I met my husband, I got married and we got pregnant almost immediately with my son. And that's when it kind of hit us like, if we don't work, we're going to have a problem here. And what if I don't want to work because I have this kid and I don't know how I'm going to feel when whenever I give birth to him. And we were basically, if you're a Christian, the Bible says you're a slave to the lender. And I never had felt more like I was in bondage. And at that moment, when I looked at, my money and our situation and thought, holy moly, like we owe a lot of money. And, so we did what most people would do is get on Google and start looking up people and, and what they have to say. And I kind of tried a little bit of everybody's and I made it my own. And then we came up with a plan. And, part of that plan, just like what I teach to women, is to find what you're good at or what's a low hanging fruit and figure out how to make money at that thing. Don't change your lifestyle unless it's to decrease it and use that money to pay off your debt. And, fast forward 18 months later, we had paid off $72,000 plus dollars. I say over 72,000 because at that point I wasn't like I am now where I basically check every dollar and I know where everything's going. I just know I had at least that much, but it was all paid off about 18 months later. And I went on to, work a little bit here and there. And I dabbled in this business and that business. And what I realized about myself was that I really enjoyed the dental field. And now I actually work in education in the dental field as my full-time job. But it allotted me a lot of time that I was off because of teacher schedule. And during that time, the wheels would turn, kind of like we talked about earlier, Wanda, where, I had this business idea and that business idea, but I kept coming back to how good it felt to me to help people get out of debt, and people were coming to ask me to help them do that. Can you help me make a budget? Can you help me make a plan? And I stumbled upon Financial Coach Academy, and I started taking the class of Financial Coach Academy, and I was like, people really do this for a living. They go and they find a group of people who they have a passion for, who needs them, and usually who is very much like them, just like I'm African American, and I'm a woman, and they help those people do what they did or something similar. And that's how I became a financial coach.
Okay. Well, see, that's interesting. I know before the show we were talking about, just like you said, all of the business ideas rattling around. And sometimes you have to go, the one that sticks with you is the one that you're more serious about.
Yeah.
And, the more relatable, I guess, it is to what you already do or something that you're already trying to do, the easier it is for you to get into that particular business and to help it grow. So talk a little bit more about this paying off this over $72,000 in debt, because that is a huge amount.
It is, yeah.
To get paid off that quickly. So talk about that a little bit.
So, I'll just give you guys just a general overview of, how I recommend paying off debt, whether you do it by yourself or whether you have a partner in it or accountability partner like me. First thing I would say is you have to decide that you really want to do it, because paying off debt doesn't always happen in 18 months. I think our story in a lot of ways is an exception because we were very, very driven. And I think that happens a lot if you listen to anybody like Dave Ramsey or anybody like that. And we were willing and able to make a lot of sacrifices to make that happen. Not everybody is in that position or willing to change their lifestyle quite a bit in order to make that happen. And that's okay, because you don't want to make yourself miserable either. But I would say the number one thing, the very first thing, if you are interested and you're wanting to pay off your debt, is you have to be clear about how much debt you have. People want to pay. I want to get out of debt. I want to get out of debt. But they are so scared to look at the numbers. They have no idea how much money they owe. I didn't know anything about, I started off originally, Lord, like I'm so embarrassed to say, I only had $65,000 in student loans. But guess what? I let them capitalize, which means I added the interest into my loan. And I ended up with more and more and more because I had been avoiding it and I didn't want to have to face it. So I left it alone. So the very first thing I would say is decide, yes, I'm going to do this. And you don't have to be eating beans and rice, but say, yes, I'm going to do this. And then, and then figure out how much debt you really have. So a couple of ways to do that is every account that you have, go and see exactly how much is owed on it. If you have a car, don't guess. Oh, I think I owe about $15,000. Log into Bank of America, gather all your logins and log into every single account and get how much you owe. Whether it's Sally Mae, NevNet, not Navient, who held my student loans, like I said, Bank of America, First Security Bank, whatever bank you owe. Also, any you are allowed to get your credit report. Okay, so you're allowed to get your credit report, and you need to go and get your free credit report. I recommend that if this is your first time doing it, I would go ahead and get all of them. Generally, I recommend that you space them out, right? So that if you want to check your credit report a few times a year, then you do TransUnion one time and then you do the other ones the other time. But at this point, when you first decide, get all of your credit reports because you want to see what's on them because you might not know. And and that way we found out, like my husband had a bill from Children's Hospital for $125. They sent it to collections. He didn't even know he had it. And so you can get everything listed down. So all your logins to get everything listed, and then you can see where you are. Now, the flip side of that coin is you need to figure out how much money you make. A lot of people don't know that either. You know how much money that it says you make if you make $60,000 a year, but how much money do you make starting at your $60,000 a year, and then look at your check stub. I know usually people just shred them or they don't pay attention to them, but look at your check stub and see how much is paid into the Fed, Social Security, how much you are putting into your retirement. If you're not, that's a little bit down the road. But if you are, just put in the minimum for now. I don't recommend stopping your retirement, but some people do, like Dave Ramsey says, to do that. I never stopped my retirement. And then see where all the money is going, because you'll need that in case you can make any adjustments to put it towards debt instead of whatever you're putting it towards. Or in case you can help yourself in your tax situation, you'll want to talk to your CPA, but you can make some changes to that, the money that's coming out and maybe help yourself down the line. Maybe, a lot of people really like getting big tax refunds, but I like to, when I file my taxes, for it to be like as close to zero as possible, because that meant I kept my money. And so if you want to talk to a CPA or an accountant or somebody like that, they can help you get it closer to zero, where you're keeping more of your money to pay down the debt, which is costing you interest. So that's why you want to go ahead and get all that listed. Okay, so now you decided you want to pay off the debt. You figured out how much debt you have and where it all goes. And then you figured out how much money you make in case you need to make any adjustments. That's when, if you're a person who can go ahead and take care of those things yourself, you might need somebody who specializes in it. Or if you're okay, where you're like, I looked at it, I'm fine with where everything is going. It doesn't look like I'm getting big, huge tax refunds. I'm going to leave everything in the way it is. Then you can look through, and then you have more than one strategy of how you want to pay off your debt. Okay, so you can either choose smallest to biggest, which is called the snowball, where you say you had a $20 one, you do the $20 one. Then you roll that $20 one into the $150 one, and then you roll that all those payments into the $1,000 one, and then so on and so forth until you paid everything off over a certain amount of time. Or you can do where you do an avalanche method, and the avalanche method is where you're going to pick the ones with the highest interest rate and tackle those first, no matter how much you owe on them. I recommend kind of a hybrid of the two. I went snowball initially because you need a lot of motivation at the beginning, because it's not the easiest thing to do. But if you have those small wins, you're like, oh, yes, I had a little check sheet and I checked off the hospital bill. Like, take that, Arkansas Children's, I'm done with you guys. And then you kind of go on and on into the next one. And then it ended up being where they kind of get close to imbalance, and you want to go with the higher interest rate so you can save more money, at the end. After you kind of figured out which strategy that you want to use, then you can make a realistic timeline based on what you make now and how much debt you have. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. So they say, I make $50,000 a year. I have $72,000 in debt, and I really want to get this taken care of fast. So there's two levels to the gap, right? And you have what you make, and then you have what you owe. You can only what you make and what you spend. And once you paid all your bills, you have like maybe this much space in between, if you're like most Americans, because we live up to our paychecks. You want to spread that gap so you'll have more money to put towards your debt. And you can only do that two ways. You can cut your expenses, but you can only cut them so far, right? You have to have basic amenities. Or if your goal is to maintain your lifestyle for your children or something like that, you don't want to shake up their world too much, then you can't really cut that much, right? Cutting cable will save you a little bit here and there. The other one is to make more money. And I am a big fan in the cutting what's not necessary. Like if you have subscription boxes for like cat magazines and wine and like, everything for almost everything, cut the subscription boxes. Maybe YouTube TV, and then when there's no sports, which is the only thing we watch it for, you don't spend that $57 a month during the summers, because you're going to be outside and you're going to be gone anyway. Make those little adjustments. But you can only cut so much. So I'm a big fan of making more money. So what we did was we looked and saw what we were good at and what could make us even a little bit of money. It was not our goal to pay off that money that quick. But I feel like when you put your mind to it and you take advantage of opportunities, and we're a praying family, when you pray and you stay faithful to God, then he's going to bless what you put in, and it's going to be pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And my husband's an electrician, and I'm really good at creating businesses because I just like doing it. And I said, why don't you go ahead and offer yourself up for some extra side work, and I will do overtime. And as a dental hygienist, you usually work Monday through Thursday, and I work on Fridays. And if I have other opportunities for small things, then I'll use them to make money. And we said, let's do it. At this time, of course, we were dual income, and then we only had my bonus daughter, but she was already like 10 or 11. Now it'll be a little bit tougher because I have a 1 and a 4-year-old. But that's what we did, Wonder. We, I first started sweet talking people. Hey, you need some electrical work done? My husband does electrical work. Facebook and social media are powerful tools. And then next thing we knew, our own church was like, hey, there's some lights out at the activity center. Can you fix them? And he's like, yeah, I can. So he fixed the lights at the activity center. And then people were like, hey, my TV needs to be hung. Do you know anybody who hangs TVs? And I was like, well, my husband hangs TVs. And this is where I don't want to get a little bit ahead of myself, but I think that one of the things to be careful for when you go ahead and you're going to start a business, you need to remember the purpose of it and create it in that way. And so like we knew that this business was specifically to pay off debt. It was not for us to live off of. It was not for any other reason but to pay off debt. Because if you're not careful, you start making more income for debt, and you start buying stuff. You started spending it because it's human nature, to do that. And you create another job for yourself that you can't get out of, or that because your debt rose with it. So you want to make sure you're really careful about that. And there's some other strategies and things I talk about with my clients with that, about automation, right? Let the money come in and it comes out before you can even mess with it. So you don't trust yourself is the bottom line. Do not trust yourself. We are not trustworthy, when it comes to money. Even, in some more advanced talks that I give about, your paychecks, I say, split your paycheck before it hits your bank. My money is split into 3 different accounts before it is direct deposited. And I only see the part that is used that I get to see. And the rest of it, it's like I never even made it until there's an emergency or something and I use it. But keep that in mind. So, my sister on her program that we did for her, she started working for Waiter, is what she did. She knew that she had free time. She didn't mind driving, and she needed to make some quick cash to knock some of the lower things out before they hit her credit. And so she started working for Waiter. I had a girl she's a mental health therapist, and so she started seeing patients virtually. So she got herself set up to where, outside of her regular position, there's a lot like talk space and different things like that. And she could see clients outside of her regular job, and it wasn't a conflict of interest for her. So they're basically finding a way to increase your income is key. Even if it doesn't seem like it's a lot at the beginning, anything extra that goes towards your debt. If you look at any type of payment schedule, you can see how 50 cents even can save you, so much down a 30-year line. And that's what we did. So we basically, the business started to grow, and we basically used every dime. We only lived off of our basically less than our regular salaries, and all the excess went onto there. And obviously it grew to be pretty big if we were able to pay off that, that debt. We didn't go on vacation for that year and a half. We usually ate at home, or we invited people over. We did a lot of grill and chill. If you guys want to hang out with us, you can come to our house and eat, because we're grilling. We're not going to Senor Tequila, wherever else everybody was going. And we got it done. And not only did we get it done, but we bought a house, and we bought a paid off car. After that was over, we kind of kept going. And this is where I was kind of going a little bit earlier. Once you get to the point where you have paid off your debt, you go back to that original purpose of that thing that you started. And then once the debt's over, you need to reevaluate what you're doing that for. Because if you're not careful, like I said, once it doesn't have debt to go to, you live up to that point again, and you get stuck with the extra thing. So after that 18 months was over, we had to reevaluate, why are we doing this business, and is it still serving us? And, is it something that we can turn into something that's more passive income, because we don't have the drive. That drive kind of wears off once you reach your goal. And a lot of people create businesses, and I'm kind of segueing into the passive business. They create businesses. Businesses are like children. We don't expect our kids to stay babies, where we have to change their diaper, wake up in the middle of the night, and do all that stuff with them. But we expect our businesses to. And I read this really good book. I'll send it to you, Wonder, if you want to post it later. But it talks about how we should treat our businesses like they're our children, and they need to grow up to where we enjoy being a part of them, but we don't have to babysit them all the time. And so once our business hit that point of the debt where we didn't need to be directly involved in it, then you want to switch it to maturing. And so we hired apprentices, and we hired journeyman electricians. So now when somebody calls our business, my husband doesn't have to show up, because he let the business mature to the point where it's your business that's making you money, and it's not necessarily your job. And that's just a little side note to remember with anything. If you want to make sure that when you go into something, you think about what the end result is going to be, and you think about it being something that's supporting you, not that you have to continuously be there to support it, and it needs to grow up to be something that serves you, and you don't have to serve it all of the time.
That makes perfect sense. Because I think too many times we do start a business that we have to be there day in, day out, and it burns you out. And I think that's why a lot of people have trouble maybe sustaining for a long period of
Mm-hmm.
time. Because if you're the one woman show or the one man show, and you're having to go on every call, you're having to answer every phone call, write every email, only be the only one doing all of the counseling and all of the working, it doesn't give you a chance to ever get a break from the business.
Right.
After so long, you get burned out, and before you know it, the business actually is flopping because you don't have the energy to put into it anymore like that. So that is a perfect point to make, to treat it and let it grow up. I hadn't heard it put that way, but I like that. That's catchy, to let it grow up. I had a question. Of course, it just went straight out my head right that second. But going back to what we were talking about on the debt side, and making sure, one of the things that I teach people when I do counseling also is that your money has a purpose. Every penny that you have has a purpose. And I tell them to go ahead and write down, if they're going to open a savings account, make that savings account my card account. Yes. I need a new car. I'm going to label it. Yes. Because when you put a label on that money, or you say it's specifically for a thing, you don't mess with it as much.
Yeah. And move it. Like you said, create that account and move it.
Yep, and go ahead and create that account. And I love that you said to separate it before you hit your one account, because I think that is the other problem too, is that when it hits that one account, and like you said, we can't be trusted. That's why Uncle Sam takes his taxes before he do it. Right. Because they know full well, if you give me the whole thing, I ain't giving you none back.
Right.
But do that same thing with your account, because when that one check or that large amount hits your account, most people have already spent that money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not spent on bills. They've already thought about, it's a sale over here, this tool I want to go buy, or I'm going to go on this trip, I want to do this. So that money is already spent before it really hits that account. And then when you're trying to pay off debt, if you've already spent the money, there's no money, number one, to pay off bills, which is now going to cause you to have late fees, which is going to cost you extra money.
Yep.
And put you further away from hitting your goal. But now there's no money to pay off that debt. So having an account even set aside just to say, here's where we're going to pay all of the debt out of. Mm-hmm. And then specifically putting that money into that account every month, and then making sure those bills are coming out of there, so that there is no reach back, or I don't get, man, they got to sell at dealers or JC Penney's and I want to go to that, and you start touching that money. But be very specific in what you want to use that money for, so you don't mess with it, and you are able to pay off your debt. Now, I want you to talk more about the passive income, because I told you that's what I'm taking notes on.
Yeah.
Because I'm working on creating a couple of streams of income. So talk more about that.
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple ways that I recommend creating passive income. One of them is online business. Everybody's seen an online business that's creating passive income. Pretty much if you Google anything, the search engine is taking you to somebody who's creating initially active, but then passive income. And then the second one is through real estate. Before I do that, before I lose this thought, I just want to say one other thing. Look up the term from what Wonder was saying before, sinking funds. Sinking funds will keep you out of trouble when it comes to saving for things that are going to come up. I think that's really important when you're on your debt-free journey, is to keep yourself from getting back into debt by not being prepared for things that you already know are coming. That's a big part of the puzzle. I got kind of sidetracked and I didn't mention that before, but creating sinking funds and incrementally saving for things that you already know are coming, so they're not emergencies. So then when they come, it's not an emergency, and then you end up back in debt. Taxes or any of those type of things, that helped us a whole lot. Okay, so back into passive income. So I recommend two different ways of passive income, and I've tried them both. I'm in the process of creating both of those for myself and growing them every day. And I was talking to Wonder a little bit about this before we actually ended up going live. So the first way that people generally create passive income is finding a skill, something that you know, something that you can offer, something that a community that is already low-hanging fruit, something that you've developed, any of those things, and you turn it slowly but progressively into passive income for yourself. So that's the first thing to know about passive income, is that passive income is not the fast game. It's a slow game. It's always a slow game. And by slow, I mean 6 months, a year, even longer. Because if you think about our traditional way of investing in passive income, it's like the stock market, right? Or a CD or a bond or any of those types of things. You put your money in, you don't take it, you don't like plant a seed and then you like you like keep unplanting it so you can see if it grew. And the same thing with the stock market. You put your money in there or your retirement with the intent of waiting 30 years or however long for the money to grow. And it's not going to take you 30 years, but it's not going to be tomorrow necessarily, unless you maybe do an investment property that's passive slash has cash flow that comes with it. So let's start with online business. So with online business, the general model for online business, let's just use, can I use you as an example, Wonder?
Sure.
Okay, so let's just use Wonder as an example. She has this beautiful radio show that she is on here. She's providing a lot of value for women and a lot of different subjects. You can tell that, you know, providing and helping African American women with their finances and different aspects of her life is something that she's really, really passionate about. But let's just take one portion of that. So Wonder is a whiz at helping women wrap their mind around feasibility when it comes to business ideas. Okay, so say she wanted to create passive income around teaching African American women how to test and validate their business ideas so that they can successfully have an online business, right? So we've already found a niche of people, and she has a skill set that she has 17 plus years in offering. So she's an expert at that niche of people. And then there's a deliverable that she'll be able to give them at the end of what she's offering this person. Now, the beauty of online business is that you create a community, and people all over are doing that. You can either create a community or you can create something and then bring people to your product so that they can buy it until enough numbers kind of rise up, and then you're found in Google or, you know, or whatever. So Wonder is going to create a community of women via a podcast called I don't know, check your business before you wreck your business. Let's just call it that. Okay, that's the first thing that came into my head. And
that sounds good.
Yeah, so she's creating this business, and she's with the idea though that she's not going to have to be directly involved forever. And she's on there every week. She's one time a week. She's creating value. She's talking about, like, first off, how to test your business ideas. Second off, what legal formation should you do? Third off, you know, 5 different professionals that you should have in your business making pocketbook, right? You need a CPA, a bookkeeper, or this or that. You know, all those people, and explaining to everybody what those people are. All of those things. And then I started listening, and my friend starts listening, and we all start listening. This is her way of getting her voice out there, right? And creating a community that's going to come and absorb this information that she knows how to give, and she's a proven expert in. Okay. So Wonder says, all right, well, I'm going to create a program or a little bitty mini course over this. It doesn't have to be something crazy, Wonder. It's something small, because if you make something too hard to get through, then people won't finish. And your goal is for them to finish and to, for real, at the end, achieve something because of it. And so you say, I'm going to have the Black Woman's Blueprint for creating a small business. And are you going to, you know, make it available on Teachable or wherever you want to make it, or just a pure PDF course that you can send out via, like, SendOwl or one of those types of people where basically people buy, they pay via PayPal, and you are going to, they're going to get it automatically and have access to it, right? So one is going to make that course one time, because she already has the knowledge. She can make the videos. She creates the PDFs in Canva, or she pays somebody like me or a VA or somebody to make her PDFs. If you're not really good at the artsy stuff, it's not too hard to do. And she's going to use her podcast that she already has. And her podcast is going to be sponsored by Black Women Business Blueprint. So this podcast was brought to you by my course, blah, 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 that helps you basically have a basic blueprint for your business, is what she's going to do. Now, it doesn't mean that she has to be stuffing it in people's faces or anything like that. But what it means is that she's going to provide real value to people, and she's going to do it at a pretty good price point. And she only had to create that course one time before she maybe revises it or adds onto it, and people can have continuous access to it. But they're going to know she offers her value because she's still doing what she loves, which is sitting here talking to people like me and providing value that way. So Wonder, you created a passive income stream that unlimited people can download, and you made it one time. So if 100 women download that whatever price point, let's call it $50 just to make it even, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives you enough value where you can sit down in 2 hours and you can know all the stuff you would have had to search Google for. And you can even make it specific to Arkansas because you know how to create a business in Arkansas. That just limits your pool of women just a little bit than if you made it more like nationwide and told people, well, you need to check SOS dot whatever your state is for a business name, for example, if you chose to include that in your feasibility little packet blueprint thing. And then you people just keep buying it. You can direct traffic towards that and collect emails of people so you can stay on their mind in case you create another product in the future. But the thing is that you know something and you are able to create value that people like me would have been grateful for at the beginning to keep me from making mistakes. And you can provide that one time and people can just keep buying it. And that's passive income, right? So, Wonder, you can have I don't like writing, so I wouldn't have a blog, but even if you don't want, you can have a YouTube channel. Those people on all of those platforms that are providing different things. There's a lady who she helps people with their relationships with their kids. She started off as a therapist, and that's what she does. And she'll sit with you and coach with you. And she, has like an online thing where you can kind of audit how you feel and in ways that you can improve your relationship with your son or your daughter. And she has a podcast about it. And she's creating passive income through that. And the good thing about it too is that any of those, it's not like it happens by magic. So you will have some stuff behind the scenes, like, keeping up with the email list and sending the weekly email, but you can automate that too. Or if you get large enough, then you can have a VA do it, which is a virtual assistant, kind of help you with some of those tasks. So you can focus on what you love, which is speaking to people. That's the part that you really love, right? And you keep on improving that course. You create more. So say they have the blueprint where they like, okay, fine, I got this basic part, but Wonder, what about when I get to the point where I need to do some strategizing about, I want a nonprofit leg to my business. So I have the part for profit. I want a nonprofit. And you're like, check, because I know how to do that too. Okay. And then you help them with that too. And you can do one-on-one coaching, and then you can, bring people in that way. If they say, the online was cool, but can you get on Zoom with me and talk me through this? Because I need that. Seminars, whatever you want to do. So that's online in a nutshell. And there's different ways to bring traffic to you can use Pinterest, right, to bring people to your site. You can rank on Google if you write articles. That's why almost every place, even Home Depot, has a blog on their site. Is because that blog is when you search on Google, those keywords, that's why they pop up first, because Google knows they have the answer. So that's why they're first in that. So small business creation in Arkansas, type how to start a small business in Arkansas, Wonder Low shows up first. And I'm like, well, she has a course. That's so cool. And you're sleeping. And I'm like, click, and I want to buy that course. And I buy it. And I think, oh my goodness, she just helped me so much. So that's online business, passive income creation. There are so many strategies. So many different ways you can do that. So many people who who have, whether it's through writing SEO, whether it's how to like slam dunk on Pinterest to get people to your site. If you want to do podcasting, if you want to do blogging, if you want to do YouTube, whatever you want to do. But that's how the system really works. But you need to, don't just go out there talking about how to make the best chocolate chip cookies and you don't know how to cook. That's the you have to know. You have to know your craft, right?
So I forgot to tell you that one of my other jobs is I bake.
Oh my goodness. She has 17 jobs, y'all. How many is that? How many? There's too many jobs.
I think that's at 6 now.
Oh goodness. So real estate, do you have any questions on that?
No, honey, I took good notes on that part. So, you actually just answered a question that a friend and I were talking about earlier today. You just walked me through something that 2 other folks have told me I need to do. So I'm gonna go with 3 being confirmation, and that I'm supposed to be doing this since you were the 3rd person to confirm it. So that's what I'll be working on.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you get stuck anywhere, or if you need, anything or anything like that, then just holler at me, and I'll definitely help you out, with resources or how to make this go quicker or that go quicker. Because some of the techie parts can be, they can just slow you down just a little bit, trying to figure out what the best way to platform and, making handouts and all that kind of stuff like that, recording yourself and how to get your face to show up in the corner while your PowerPoint's up there, little stuff like that. Those are the things that can make you kind of frustrated a little bit. Oh, somebody, Glenda says, and your baking is so awesome. So look at that. Glenda just said, she just confirmed, Wonder, you could even do how to bake the best, start a cooking website, do it
Yeah.
that way.
Believe it or not, that's been a secret dream for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
To do a cooking website.
I was just talking about weird online passive income businesses. There's a lady, her niche is cats. And it's about for real, it's about cats. And those types of sites that are really broad, they usually get ads on their site. It's how they produce a lot of income, is those ad networks. They'll, if you get so many views per month, you can apply to an ad network. But she loves talking about cats, and she is into it. And she, they have cat meetups and stuff, and like this, and she's providing value because some people really want to talk about and know about.
A lot of cat people in the world.
People do it based on like tiny living in your van. I know a girl who does it on fixing up old buses and like making the interior of the buses. Have you seen those buses where they're like really? I mean, they're like a hotel and like granite countertops and everything, old school buses, and people it's something people are really into. So they do that. So let's talk about you want to go ahead and talk about real estate?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me if I'm rambling it too much and
no, I told you.
Okay.
Talk. You're fine.
Well, so real estate is something that I'm a little bit newer to than the financial coaching, but it's something I've always been interested in. Me and Wanda talked a little bit about personality, and I learned that I really like a challenge, and I like finding good deals, flipping the houses, but also more than anything, I like the idea of incremental development of lower to mid income neighborhoods, and so we have started our business called North River Properties, and what I do is buy income properties, right, at a lower price, basically to get people out of maybe a bad situation or even they're on the market, but they don't want to fix it up or, whatever. And then fix the house. And if I do resell the house, it's usually so that I can buy what creates passive income, which is investment properties, like buy and hold properties. So just to break that down, if you're not familiar with real estate, you have the two main strategies are either buy a house to rent the house out, or it's either buy a house, fix the house, sell the house. When you talk about incremental development, it's more of like a slower process because you're choosing neighborhoods that you want to improve the value of the neighborhood. And my goal is to not gentrify the neighborhood and out price the neighborhood to the point where our people can no longer live in them.
Okay.
So, versus going in, because there's a way that you can do it where you go in and you raise the values of all the houses. And then, for example, in my opinion, like South Main is that way. So South Main is improving, but South Main has gotten so expensive that the people who originally are from there probably couldn't afford to buy any of the newer or remodeled houses there because they're out of their price range. So we like to make sure that they're structurally sound, and a really good property, new roof, nothing's going to break, and have nice, clean properties for people to move into as a rental property or to move their family into at an affordable price, and improve the neighborhood overall. And it's funny, like we're working on a property now and the neighbors keep coming out and saying, oh, y'all cut down that tree. I'm so excited. Or, this place looks so cleaned up. And I'm just like so happy that y'all are here and you're doing this. And, they're going to get a good neighbor in there. And my goal is not only to have passive income or direct income through flipping properties, but it's also to better the neighborhoods, especially neighborhoods, like over by Big Baptist and some areas in Jacksonville. If you're from Arkansas, you know where I'm talking about. In Southwest Little Rock and in Levy and North Little Rock and stuff like that. I don't want to be a slumlord. I want it to be a nice place that people want to live, and they should be able to have that because that's where I'm from, and I would have loved to have had that too. So the passive income through real estate is not as easy to get into as it is to create passive income through online business, but it happens a little bit quicker. In that online business, you might take 6 months, 8 months to a year before you start turning over a really good amount of money. If you don't already have an online presence, like if you're not Justin Bieber or somebody like that, you have to create a platform for yourself first in online business where people know you, which Wonder's already done. So I with real estate, first of all, I would recommend looking on sites like biggerpockets.com to gather up as much information on the different strategies as possible. I can speak about rental properties. So with rental properties, what you want to do is you want to find the area that you can afford. And I say afford as in not as in like you have the money, but that you could maybe have a partner in, or or something like that, to where you can buy a property, or one person has good credit but the other person has some money. You have some equity in your home that you can use, right? Figuring out where there's enough money to be able to buy a property. You can buy properties in the areas where we're in for as low as $30,000-$40,000 with a loan from the bank, and then you need to put 20% down, and make sure you have a good budget for your rent, for your fixing up part. I would recommend doing a lot of research first, making sure you have a good general contractor, or some tradespeople or somebody who can go and inspect the house. Don't buy a house without an inspection ever, no matter what, because it just might not be worth it. And then what we do, like I said, like our very first one, we used home equity plus a conventional commercial loan, and then some savings. You get your property, and you know what the renovation is going to be, and then me and my husband partnered together, and we bought the house. And then you sell the house once you're done with it, and that's when you get your money back on the back end. And but another strategy, for example, would be if you chose to keep that house, and then you go ahead and rent the house out. So you can buy a house for a lower price, fix it up to the point where it's a good rental property, which means it doesn't have to have granite countertops. You probably don't want to put that anyway, because that's more susceptible to getting broken. Because remember, human beings are going in these properties. So you want to make it as rental proof as possible. Maybe some laminate floors instead of hardwoods. Don't put carpet in them. Nice, clean. Make sure everything is fixed on the front end that could potentially be a problem, so you're not going over there and fixing all the time. Okay. I know a lot of people complain and they say, I bought this property and every other second I'm over there fixing stuff. Well, part of it is because when they bought it, they didn't go through and fix stuff. And so then the air unit poops out in a year, and they should have just changed it when they got it, or put a plan there to change it then. So by income, I choose to do more of like a lower, so $35,000, $45,000, $50,000. You need 20% down. 20% down on $50,000 is about $10,000. You can use, like I said, your home equity or other things that you have to your disposal. Or you can find somebody who will invest in it for you. You'd be surprised at who would be willing to. You just have to ask.
Wow.
Really, who might have, some money in there, or they have some CDs they want to cash out, or, two people that have each saved up $5,000 and they just want to be partners with you on it, or, whatever. It might take you some time, but you'll get to that part. Fix the property up, and then you can either sell it for a profit. Now you have your own money, right? Give everybody their money back. You have your own money, or rent it. And so with renting it, where the passive income comes in is that after you meet the minimum debt requirements and a reserve to make sure that you don't not have money if something breaks, right? Yeah. The rest of it is yours while you sleep. And that's how it works. So you get enough of them that are what's called cash flowing, and say each of them is cash flowing $300, and you have 10, that's $3,000, and you're not doing anything to the property except for if there's turnover. For example, you clean it up, get things fixed that need to be fixed, and then you lease it out to the next person. Rental property investing is, as for passive income, sounds really glamorous, and it is kind of once you get good at it. But that's one that I would say it takes a lot more risk on the front end. So you want to make sure that you have your research very, very thoroughly done, and you have people on your side who know about properties before you do that one. And for a person who is just thinking about, I don't really want the headache of dealing with people. If you don't want the headache of dealing with people, don't become a rental property investor, because you don't want to treat people like people and not be kind of like I said, a slumlord. If you are thinking about creating passive income, but you just want to dip your toes into the water, and you're, okay with being in front of people, or if you have a skill set you can offer, you don't even have to have your face in front of it. You can have a brand. I would recommend more of online business as passive income. It has a longer runway, but there's less risk in your own money going into it at the beginning, which justifies why it takes a little bit longer to make a larger amount of money. So those are the two ways that I teach. That's just rental property. I could really go a lot on and on about it, but I feel like you hit the point in an introductory setting like this where people start hearing want, and they don't actually understand what I'm saying, or I can start talking about these number and that number and that number. But that's when I would recommend. Like I said, you look at biggerpockets.com. You look at you can talk to one-on-one.
Say it again.
Biggerpockets.com. There's a lady. Oh goodness, I forget. She's an African American lady. Her brand is affordable real estate investing. I think it's the name of her website, and she teaches about investing in sub 40K is what she says, properties, and that might be helpful. And you can kind of do a lot more research. And if you want to talk on one-on-one, you can feel free to email me and we can chat about it on that. But those are the two ways that I teach to create passive income. And remember this, and this is the last thing I want to say. Just like what we talked about with the income that you create to pay off debt, you have to have a reason why you want this passive income, because that's once you hit that point where you have, created the income and you decided what you want to do with it, you still have a purpose to live within. And so, it's either, I want to make this passive income so I can be free to stay home with my kids, so I can give back and send shoes to Pakistan, or because my passion really lies in having an animal sanctuary. Think about when with all of this stuff, with the debt payoff, with the creating passive income, with all of it, close your eyes, think to yourself, when I close my eyes and I think, what do I want my life to look like? And that will show you the path that you want to go on. And that will give you your why, because if you don't have a why, it'll fizzle out. It will fizzle out and you'll be like, this is too much work. I was just fine with my debt. Or you get halfway done and you're like, I paid off half of it. I'll die with these loans. You have to decide. People tell me that all the time. That I heard people say that. That's what it's gonna be. Yeah. And so, that's the first thing. Before you make your plan, before you research your debt, before you get all your account numbers and you write everything down and you decide what you're gonna do, is decide, when I wake up in the morning, what do I want to do every day? And that's what will get you to deciding what type of business you want to start, how quickly you want to pay off your debt, what you're willing to sacrifice. When I close my eyes and I think about what I want my life to look like, I think that I want to spend time with my children. Okay. And I also want to be able to help people with what I didn't know and keep them from doing that. And it's about fulfillment, not just about the money, because there's plenty of rich people, not happy at all. If the people in Hollywood were happy, they wouldn't, their lives wouldn't be such a wreck. So money is a tool. It's not the end game. Think about what you want your end game to be, and then use the money to get there. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox. But I always want to say that you have to do that, because you're gonna get caught up, and you're gonna miss out your family. You're gonna be hustle to get money, and that's not what it's all about. It was about what you want your life to be like.
That was like the best soapbox ever.
Awesome. I'm glad.
Totally fine with you being on it. That was some really, really, really good information. And I have like 3 or 4 pages of notes because I was writing down stuff that you were saying. So thank you for using me as an example, because then you actually just gave me a good roadmap to get done what I need to get done. I hope that whoever was watching, or if you go and watch the video later on, that you please take notes. I did a few notes in the comment section just to kind of give people an idea of what you were talking about and some of the things they can do. But if you missed the show live, then go back and watch it, or whenever you do watch the video, make sure that you read those comments and get that information. Do you want to share any contact information if somebody wants to do financial coaching?
Yeah, so my financial coaching business is called Fresh Start Financial Coaching. It's all about, creating your fresh start by paying off debt and creating passive income. My website is still under construction. It's going to be finished next week, but it'll be beautiful when it's done. So I'm being patient with my web designer. But I can be reached right now at Tanielle Price at gmail.com. If you have any questions, if you want to join my email list, and I'll go ahead and add, whoever emails me to the email list on the back end, since my page isn't back up yet. It was up, but I redid it. So that's Tanielle Price at gmail.com. if you have any questions, if you want to be added to my email list, or if you're interested in working with me as a financial coach or mentor.
All right. Well, ma'am, I sure do appreciate you. And like I said, that was awesome information. I hope that anybody watching, if you're watching now, you watch it later, that you pay attention to all of the good notes that she gave. I tried to take some in the comments, so make sure you read the comments and get those notes out of there. But make sure that you reach out to Tanielle. I was going to call you Tanielle again. Tanielle, and get the information. I think that what you're doing is wonderful, and the fact that you're helping women to get to that next level and to get their finances together and to create passive income is absolutely awesome. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We have a few minutes left, but since we don't have anything else to talk about, because you covered it all, sister, we can sign off a couple minutes early tonight. But thank you again for coming on. I will be in definite touch with you. I have another friend I want to get you in contact with. I think you all can work together wonderfully because of some of the stuff that she does. And y'all don't overlap, but I think y'all would make some really good partners. So I want to get you in touch with her. Again, thank you.
You're welcome. No problem.
Hope that everybody got something from the show. And if you didn't, watch the whole thing. Don't miss anything because she gave good gems throughout the entire show. So don't miss anything. So we're going to say goodnight early tonight, about a couple minutes early. But thank you again for coming on. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Please make sure you sign on for that show. We're going to be talking about mental health and the things that are going on around our current events right now. I just leave it at that, mental health and our current events. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday, same place, same time at 7 p.m. for the Ladies Lounge After Dark with Wonderlo. I'm your host, and we will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye. Bye. Bye.